The NBA playoffs have been an absolute treat, and it seems as if the level of competition goes up a notch every year. We've seen some top-class performances from teams and some brilliant individual shows too, from the likes of Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Ja Morant, etc. Although Chris Paul's fantastic fourth quarter against the Mavericks was out of this world. First up, LeBron, CJ McCollum, and others react to Chris Paul's performance. Twitter went nuts in the fourth quarter of the Suns-Mavs game, and it wasn't just the fans going berserk after the CP3 show. LeBron James was quick to tweet CP3, and if the GOAT of clutch performances is that excited about your performance, you've definitely done something right. CJ McCollum also joined the hype train and was full of praise of the Suns team, explaining just how good they were. It was a funny tweet from CJ as he added how it felt good to see CP3 and the Suns wreck someone else for once. A lot like how we felt when our siblings were getting an earful instead of us. Tyrese Halliburton was also catching the action and didn't miss the opportunity to admire Point God's display on the night. TJ Ford, the former NBA star, also simply tweeted Chris Paul, and everyone understood what he needed to say. Just the name was enough. Amongst the former NBA pros, Channing Frye tweeted about the damn clinic being put on by CP3. Not everyone was having a great time though, because it looked as if Kendrick Perkins received a late-night reality check from Chris Paul. After all, he realized that both of them are the same age and CP3's tearing up the NBA while he's been retired for 3 years. The big-time analysts joined in too, making sure that Chris Paul's super contributions were highlighted. Dave McKenneman noted that it wasn't the first time Chris Paul was clutch this postseason. In fact, it was the fourth time he'd racked up 10 points or more in the fourth quarter. Stephen A. Smith was also full of awe for the 37-year-old and praised his performance, calling it unreal and sensational. Next, we have the CP3 show. Looking at the reactions, it isn't hard to imagine how great the CP3 clinic was on Wednesday night. The best part about that performance is the fact that it came at just the right time for the Phoenix Suns. A balanced game, the Suns leading, but Luka Doncic had just scored a triple looking to steal the game. However, sadly for Doncic, Chris Paul had different ideas as he went atomic, creating a 23-2 run that blew the game wide open. It was an incredible display from the 37-year-old as he finished with 28 points, 11 of 16 from the field, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. No matter which way you look at the performance, it was simply outrageous. It wasn't the first time CP3 had managed to do something of that sort, as McKenneman had noted. His clutch performances have been the integral difference in the Suns being a class apart. CP3's rejuvenated the franchise ever since he joined. When he came in last year, the Suns hadn't been to the playoffs for a decade, and he's been crucial in helping the Suns reach the playoffs last year before leading the Western Conference this year. Devin Booker's return from injury coincided with CP3's helpful performances, and the Suns remain favorites for the NBA title. What's to expect from Game 6? Despite taking a 2-0 advantage against the Mavericks, the Suns found themselves at 2-2 going into the 5th game of the series. This time though, it was Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton putting in the hard yards and earning an important win for the Suns. They've got a 3-2 lead, with the series eventually poised and the Suns traveling to Dallas. It won't be an easy task closing out the series in Game 6, but it's something they'll have to do. The Mavericks have been massively boosted by the return of their superstar Luka Doncic. They managed to inspire a decent comeback, and with Game 6 on home territory, the Mavs will be hoping for some extra inspiration from the crowd to take the series to the final game. Doncic has been a class apart, and while the Mavs struggled generally in Game 5, he was on another level, putting on 28 points with 11 rebounds and 2 assists. If they're going to get a shot at an unlikely qualification against the Suns, the first step will have to come at home in Game 6 on Friday. Dallas can force a Game 7, but it'll have to be a repeat of their fantastic defensive performances at home. At the same time, they'll have to take their opportunities, and outshooting the Suns is the only chance they have of winning against the #1 seed. Force more turnovers, put them under pressure, test the Suns' resolve, and take your opportunities. Of course, it's easier said than done, but then again, it's not supposed to be easy. Now, in other related news, Mavericks remove fan after harassment. The ugly side of sports. CP3 was at the center of the news once again, and this time it wasn't good because his family was harassed by fans during the Suns' loss to the Mavericks. The Mavericks management did remove the fan from the stands and took notice of the incident at the American Airlines Center. Paul had his whole family in attendance for the match, and that included his wife, mother, and the 2 children in seats just behind the Suns' benches. ESPN reported that a man had put hands on Paul's mother, Robin, and his wife, Jada, had been pushed around and followed all the way up the arena's aisle as she left her seat. CP3 was aware of the incident, and as anyone would be, he was quite concerned for the safety of his family, asking the security staff to take action during the game. CP3 was incredibly angry after the game too when he took out his frustration on Twitter, saying that players get fined for saying stuff to the fans, but somehow the fans can get away with even physical harassment. We 100% agree with him, and the NBA needs to take action against such fans to ensure it doesn't happen again. Sixers on the brink of elimination. The heat from Miami was too much to handle for the Sixers in Game 5 as they succumbed to a lifeless loss at the FTX Arena. You might say that the Sixers are 3-2 down, just like the Mavericks, but why are people thinking that they can't make a comeback? Well, that's because the Mavs at least showed some impetus and quality even in the games they lost. They also managed to make a brilliant comeback from 2-0 down, while the Sixers either got blown away or relied too much on individual quality. There's nothing wrong in relying on individual quality, but the problem is that their individuals aren't reliable anymore. Yes, we're talking about James Harden, and we know he was brilliant in the game, but can he bring that kind of performance again? It seems very unlikely. Joel Embiid is an exception. He's fantastic, but he's not fully fit, and Game 5 very much confirmed that. If the Sixers are to make it past Miami, they'll need someone else to put in a decent performance. Who can step up and be the open man that the Sixers need? A player that actually hits the jumper. It's unlikely with Harden around, but that's their only hope. Steph Curry makes history in Warriors' late win. Steph Curry continues to rewrite history, and he broke another record as he became the only player to score 500 career playoff threes after pouring 32 points with 8 assists to inspire a late comeback against the Memphis Grizzlies. Without Ja Morant, the Grizzlies still looked pretty good and kept the Warriors at bay until late in the fourth quarter. In fact, the Warriors hadn't taken the lead in the entire game until the very last minute, and Steph, like always, came in clutch, scoring 18 points in the final quarter and tying the game at 90 before firing in 8 straight free throws in the final minute to win it. The Warriors were without their coach Steve Kerr, who was missing the game due to a positive COVID-19 test, hours before the tip-off. This made the task a lot more difficult for the Warriors, and they didn't look like themselves for a large part of the game. Klay Thompson, during his post-match interview, pointed out that Kerr's absence had made life difficult for them. The Warriors definitely got away with that because if Ja Morant hadn't been injured, this could have been 2-2 rather than 3-1. Both sides had missed chances to capitalize and run away with the game, and the Warriors had been 0-15 from deep until Otto Porter finally managed a three-pointer late in the second quarter. Thompson also had a tough game, missing all of his three-point attempts, but it was mostly down to Jaren Jackson Jr.'s superb defensive display for the Grizzlies. He was visibly disappointed with the result, but fans can have no complaints from him after that performance. That's a wrap for this video. What did you make of CP3's superb display in Game 2? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.